Well, thanks to the tournament, March is the biggest betting month of the year, according to the American Gaming Association.
Access to gambling continues to get easier with new apps and sites, but now a legal case in Arizona could change that. Joining us now is Professor Kerry Fields, who teaches business law and ethics at USC Marshall School of Business. Thank you so much for being with us this morning.
My pleasure.
So Rachel and I want to dive into this because I think a lot of people don't necessarily understand the business models of particularly two websites, Kalshi and Polymark. They call themselves prediction markets and represent themselves to be kind of similar to the stock market. Can you go into detail about how they're getting around federal gaming laws here?
Sure. The companies are relying upon the passage of a bill that created the Commodities Futures Trading Commission. Essentially, that commission was originally vested with the authority to regulate predictions with regard to farm commodities, weather, things like that. They evolved into this sports and event prediction model a few years ago. The federal government claims they have exclusive jurisdiction to regulate these businesses. And these businesses include sports betting, predictions on elections, Academy Award nominees and winners and the like. And the states claim it's not a sophisticated security, but rather a simple form of gambling. And that the states have had a long history of regulating gambling in their states, and they're equipped to do it. The federal government has admitted that they do not have the resources to regulate sports betting. They just don't. The demand is so broad. Now, the reason for the controversy is this is an extremely lucrative business, that these platforms will earn between 1% and 3% of every dollar invested or gambled, if you will. So they print money. They have no downside to them. They're just providing a platform for this exchange of betting. And the states object to that because they say it's quite simply an end around on the state's authority. Similar to what Uber did in the early days, they ignored state laws and was trying to gain enough traction that they would displace state regulation, which they eventually did.
Professor Fields, right now there are more than 20 civil lawsuits pending against Kalshi, but now Arizona is alleging criminal violations as well. Tell us your thoughts on the charges, and are you surprised it took this long?
I am surprised it took this long. I don't know why they didn't pull the trigger on litigation earlier. There have been almost 3 or 4 dozen lawsuits in total. Some of them have already been determined. Some of them are making their way up to the appellate courts. Arizona has a new angle, which is to charge the companies with criminal violations for running an illegal betting platform when they don't have state permission to do so, and that the forms of gambling in their state should be regulated at the state level. I think it increases the heat on the companies, but the question is whether or not the courts of appeal will agree to it, and it'll probably be decided by the United States Supreme Court. Quite simply does the federal government have the power to regulate the event prediction business? That's the simple question. And the states could enact legislation uniformly to regulate this if they were to pursue that avenue, and they probably should, to offset this claim that the federal government can provide one uniform regulation of the betting or event prediction industry. I think there's little controversy between saying the event prediction is simply gambling.
Yeah, and while there is some heat on these companies. This week, Major League Baseball announced a partnership with Polymarket. What do you think? What kind of message does that send in your mind?
I think it's kind of sad, but because I think it encourages gambling to a greater degree than we already strongly have present in our society, and that the resources for those who will be addicted to gambling as a result of this are not going to be assisted by any federal agencies or relief, whereas the states offer remedies for those who are addicted to gambling and things like that. So I think it's a business decision. It's one that's profitable for Major League Baseball as well as these platforms. But I think inherently it's unethical.
Okay. Well, we appreciate your expertise. Thank you for joining us this morning.
You're welcome.